For over a century, the story of human evolution was definitive, rigid, and simple. We, Homo sapiens, stand at the end of a long, clear path, a triumphant lineage stretching back from the primitive ape men, culminating in modern intelligence. We were taught that only one dominant rival walked alongside us, the Neanderthals. This was the orthodox truth, a comfortable narrative of our undisputed rise to planetary mastery, with no one left to challenge our superiority. But in 2008, the ground beneath this foundation cracked. Deep inside the Altai Mountains of Siberia, a harsh, desolate, and unforgiving range in a cave known as Denisova, archaeologists unearthed a fragment of bone, a tiny, insignificant piece of a pinky finger. When this relic was passed to geneticists for sequencing, the results did not match the textbook. The DNA did not belong to a Neanderthal. It did not belong to us. It belonged to an entirely new, uncatalogued branch of humanity. They named them the Denisovans. This is not merely a forgotten ancestor. This is a glitch in our system of history, a profound error that suggests the official timeline is missing an entire, critical chapter. The physical evidence hints at a species engineered for survival and intelligence far beyond our early ancestors. They were physically massive, architecturally advanced, and genetically superior, capable of mastering environments that remain lethal to most modern humans. We need to ask if they were a super-civilization. Who or what possessed the power to scrub them so cleanly from the historical record? This is the ultimate cover-up. This is the glitch files. The puzzle of the Denisovans begins with their strange near invisibility. The fact that we have so little of them, a handful of bones. A few teeth is itself the first clue. Why did the robust Neanderthals leave dozens of complete skeletons, while the Denisovans left only whispers? Perhaps because they were engineered to leave less behind, or perhaps because their history was deliberately buried. Yet, the few fragments we have speak volumes of their sheer power. Examine the Harbin skull, nicknamed the Dragon. The Dragon Man, found in China. Its face is colossal, featuring massive square eye sockets and heavy brow ridges. Its cranial vault, the casing for the brain, is estimated to be nearly 20% larger than the average modern human. This suggests not just bigger bodies, but a monumental leap in potential cognitive capacity. The Siahe mandible, a jawbone found in Tibet, is robust and twice as thick as ours, lined with immense molars. These were not the fragile, shivering cave dwellers of popular fiction. They were titans, built like living stone. The most concrete evidence of their superiority is coded within our own DNA. Travel to the unforgiving heights of the Tibetan Plateau. Here, at 14,000 feet, where the air is thin and most lowlanders struggle for breath, the Tibetan people live and thrive without distress. Their secret is not training. It is a genetic gift, the EPAS1 gene variant. This variant optimizes the blood's ability to process oxygen in thin air. And the origin of this superhuman trait, it came directly from the Denisovans. Picture the chilling contrast while our Homo sapiens ancestors were constrained by the valleys, clinging to environments where the air was thick and predictable. The Denisovans commanded the altitude. They were the masters of the roof of the world, living and building in conditions we still rely on advanced life support systems to survive for long. This was not random luck. This was a species pre-programmed for extreme endurance. They had designed the perfect biological operating system, or so they believed. Their genetic superiority extended to immunity. Studies show that populations in Asia and Oceania who carry Denisovan DNA inherited powerful disease resistance genes. These genes acted as a biological shield, arming them against the pathogens that plagued early human populations, while waves of ancient plagues could devastate communities of Homo sapiens. The Denisovans would have walked through them almost untouched. Their immune system was not just good, it was an elite biological fortress. Some of these inherited genes even link to enhanced wound healing and faster metabolic rates, a further testament to their engineering for survival. And then there is the subtle, yet terrifying hint of longevity. Geneticists have identified Denisovan variants linked to enhanced neural resilience and a slower rate of cellular degradation. In plain language, they may have aged slower and remained sharper for longer than we can imagine. Combine this potential longevity with their robust frames, super lungs, and pathogen resistance, and you have a species operating on a scale of time and physical capability far exceeding our own. We are left to wonder, was this just random evolution, or does this hint at a deliberate genetic refinement that created a super race? If their bodies were advanced, their technology was outright impossible. The tools found in Denisova Cave do not fit the Stone Age narrative. They do not just challenge the timeline, they violently tear it up. The polished chloritolite bracelet, a dark green, hard stone known for its resilience, discovered in the same layer as the bones, is the signature piece of this paradox, dated at up to 70,000 years old. It displays a craftsmanship that shocks modern engineers. It had a perfectly concentric, symmetrical hole drilled right through it. Experts are unanimous this required fixed-point, high-speed rotary drilling technology, that is, using a spanning mechanism to bore a perfect hole, a skill reserved for industrialized tools. It is not just a nice piece of jewelry, it is a declaration that a technologically advanced civilization was active during our supposed primitive era. Equally shocking is the 7-centimeter bone needle. Dated at over 50,000 years old, the oldest complete sewing needle ever found. The eye carved into the bone requires planning, a stable surface, and a specialized tool to bore a clean, precise hole. This simple object implies a complex chain of production: hunters for hides, engineers for the needle, and specialized artisans for tailoring. The Denisovans were not merely surviving, they were designing and refining. They were making tailored, fitted garments to combat the brutal Siberian climate, displaying a cultural sophistication that belies their caveman label. Further, finds reinforce this picture of advanced craft. They unearthed polished fragments of marble rings and pendants crafted from rare stones, showing a desire for aesthetics and symbolic representation beyond mere utility. They had mastered the art of working with intractable materials. Symbolic art, carved patterns. Carefully crafted beads from ostrich eggshells is the language of high-order thinking. They were creating identity, belief, and memory in stone. This is the kind of expression that anthropology once reserved only for Homo sapiens. Now, let us connect this precision technology to the most challenging monuments on Earth, the massive granite blocks of Mount Shoria in Siberia, weighing thousands of tons, stacked with fine, flat, right-angled surfaces. Historians call them natural formations, but they sit directly within the ancient heartland of the Denisovans. Across Mongolia and Central Asia, we find similar enigmatic megaliths perfectly cut, precisely engineered slabs appearing without any preceding developmental phase. They simply appear fully formed. If the Denisovans had the brawn, the brains, and the precision drilling technology, could they have been the original architects, the ones who provided the blueprint for all later megalithic construction? The final confirmation: many of these Central Asian megaliths are astronomically aligned. They lock their structures to the cardinal points, tracking the solstice and the equinox. This required a deep, generational understanding of mathematics and celestial mechanics. We are asked to believe that nomadic tribes somehow developed complex cosmic geometry on their own. Or is it more plausible that they were following a highly advanced blueprint, a legacy left behind by the civilization that mastered precision engineering and possessed brains 20% larger than our own? The fundamental paradox of the Denisovans is their sudden silence. They thrived across a massive territory for hundreds of thousands of years. Then, around 40,000 to 30,000 years ago, they vanished. The traces stop. The tools disappear. This leaves us with three competing and terrifying hypotheses for their erasure. The most painful theory suggests a direct, physical confrontation. Around the time of their disappearance, Homo sapiens was aggressively expanding into Asia. Genetics confirms that we did not just meet the Denisovans, we interbred with them. But what follows intimacy is often conflict, especially when resources are scarce. Imagine two species vying for the same territory, one stronger, smarter, and technologically superior in certain areas, Denisovans, the other more numerous, highly adaptable, and potentially more ruthless Homo sapiens. Some argue that Homo sapiens won through sheer numbers and a talent for war. If the Denisovans truly had brains and brawn that surpassed ours, perhaps our ancestors' only winning strategy was cold, brutal aggression, followed by the ultimate historical erasure. This silence in the archaeological record is not natural. It feels like a deliberate scrub. A less violent, but equally profound theory is the deliberate withdrawal. We have established their huge brain capacity and unique neural hints. Some researchers push the possibility of advanced, nonverbal communication, a hyper-connected, almost telepathic exchange of knowledge that made written records unnecessary. They operated on an unparalleled level of shared understanding. When this deeply connected civilization encountered the chaos, the petty violence, and the fragmented communication of Homo sapiens, they may have judged us not as a rival, but as an existential threat to their very mode of existence. Why fight a losing battle against chaos? Legends across Asia speak of wise beings. The Jainas of Buddhism, the forefathers of the shamans who chose to retreat into hidden realms, underground cities, or deep mountain fortresses, promising to return when humanity had finally evolved past its destructive phase. The Denisovans did not die out. They simply disengaged. The third theory is that the world itself was the executioner. The Younger Dryas event, a period of abrupt and catastrophic global cooling that caused ice sheets to collapse and sea levels to rise, around 12,800 years ago, was a planetary reset button. The geological evidence is clear: massive ice sheet melt, sudden sea level rise, and continent-wide floods. If the Denisovans were the master builders of megalithic structures, if their architecture was designed to master the planet, it was no match for the planet turning on itself. The cataclysm would explain the utter silence. Their megastructures would be shattered, buried, and drowned, their knowledge instantly erased by geological violence. They were not defeated by man or choice. They were swallowed whole by the earth, leaving behind only the most resilient fragment of their being, their DNA, inside us. The theories are compelling, but the final truth remains a haunting echo. Regardless of the mechanism of their erasure, genocide, retreat, or planetary flood, the undeniable fact is that the Denisovan blueprint survived. It is not found in history books. It is found in the genetic code of modern populations. The super lungs of the Tibetan people, the powerful immune shields of the oceanic peoples, these are not relics. They are living proof that a higher form of humanity once walked among us. But why did the survivors, fail to retain the full inheritance? Why did we lose the giant brain capacity, the super longevity, the precision engineering skills? It suggests a terrifying possibility that challenges our most fundamental belief in progress, that humanity did not evolve upward from the Denisovans. We regressed. We inherited only the fragments, the scattered pieces of a magnificent operating system. The Denisovans are more than a historical mystery. They are a warning. If a civilization of such genetic and technological superiority could be entirely scrubbed from the record, what other knowledge, what other golden age, is currently hidden beneath the layers of history we choose to believe? The glitch is the existence of the Denisovans. The warning is their silence. Keep your minds open and never stop digging.